Hi and welcome to the 645 tutorial. I'm Sondre and I'll be teaching you this pattern. Now in this video I've got several exercises that we'll go through to make sure that you're mastering the easier levels and building up to the final pattern that we're going to work on, which is 645. Now before we begin, I'll show you what the pattern looks like so you have an idea of what it looks like. And it looks something like this, at least when I do it. Maybe it's going to look a little bit different when you do it. Okay, so since you've decided on learning 645, I take it that you can do 3, 4, and 5 balls pretty solid. Therefore, it's not going to be a problem for you to go back to 3 balls for the 3-ball exercise for this pattern. The 3-ball exercise is the following. You juggle 3 balls and throw one up on the outside, like here. This is called a 4-2-3. And when done continuously from both sides, it looks like this. I think it was called a W back before siteswap. Hooray! Now if you do the 4-2-3 quite low, it's going to feel slightly like 6-4-5. However, you do not have the throwing of the 4. So what you can do is you can make it a little bit higher and turn the 2s in the 4-2-3 active, which means moving them or throwing them. But we're not going to work on throwing them now, because to me I think that's more difficult than the 6-4-5 itself. Now if you notice, when I do 4-2-3, the 4s are on the outside. When you do 6-4-5, that's going to be the case for the 6s as well. Not necessarily, but most people think it looked better, and at least I think it's much easier that way too. So that's something you should keep in mind. So once you're done with the 3-ball part, you can move on to 4 balls. Now we know that you can do 4 balls solid from before, since obviously you can do 4 balls solid from before since you're watching this tutorial. So there's no need to learn 4 balls now. I'm not going to teach you that. Now, how to go about learning 5-3-4. What you do is you juggle 4 balls and you throw 1 high and crossing, the 5, and 1 low and crossing, the 3. Like this. And then stop. So once you can do this, you try to do a 5-3-4. Which means those 2 throws that you just did, plus a 4 non-crossing. Like that. Continuing with a 5-3-4 from the other side means that you're going to throw a 5 at the same time as the first 5 lands. So it's going to look like this. So just keep an eye on the first 5, that one, and then throw a 5 when it lands. Moving along, you've got your first 5-3-4-5, and then add another 3, like so. And then obviously the next step is to add another 4. So after this, you just keep working on connecting more rounds. I've already shown you how to build 1 round and 2 rounds, so just keep building with 1 or 2 more throws, and then eventually you'll be able to run it. At some point you'll be able to run 5-3-4 pretty smoothly. In my opinion, it's easier to run it with the 4 as the outside throw. I also think that looks prettier. So maybe you should try that. It's probably also going to help for 6-4-5, where you usually have the 6 as an outside throw. So now you can do 5-3-4, but there are a couple more exercises before we can move on to the 5-ball part. The first exercise I want to have you do is juggle 4 balls like this, and learn to do it in the column pattern, which means that the balls just go up and down. There is no inside to outside arc. They don't cross or change positions. They just go like this. For working on this, you'll do 2 balls in one hand in columns. You can probably do this already. So then we're going to move on to the actual exercise. The actual exercise with the 4-ball columns is to juggle 4 balls in the fountain pattern, but then making every 3rd throw on the outside, which is going to look like this. That one might require a bit of thinking and concentration, but do work on it and get through that exercise before you move on to 5 balls. It's probably really going to help. So just concentrate, focus, and make sure you go through all the exercises to make sure that you learn properly. So once you can do this with every third throw on the outside, you can try adding some sixes. And I don't mean just adding a 6, but you're going to do the pattern of 6, 4, 2, which looks like this. Now this pattern is just like 6, 4, 5, except there is no 5 in the middle. Now what you're going to do with the 6, 4, 2 is turn the 6 into an outside throw. So it's going to be like this. And so on. That's not a very difficult exercise, but do work on it to make sure you can get the 6s on the outside. Make the 4s low so that you don't have to wait too long. If the 6 and the 4 lands at the same time, then that's wrong. Make the 2 lower or the 6 higher. And so on. So finally we're almost ready for 5 balls, but let's go through the 6, 4, 2 again. You juggle 4 balls, you throw 6, 4, 2, and go back into 4 this time. Just a 6, 4, 2. And also work on the 6 on the outside like I said, from both sides. This is going to be a part of one of the exercises with 5 balls before you go on to running 6, 4, 5. Then eventually we'll get to the 5 ball level.